in, on, or at. What a mess. But don't worry, it doesn't have to be so difficult. Let's have a look at some rules on when to use these prepositions in English. Now, before I start, if you want to know which preposition to use, it is a good idea to learn words in chunks, groups of words. For instance, don't learn the word morning, but learn the expression in the morning. Do not learn the word night, but learn the expression at night. If you start learning like this, then in the future this will be a much more easier topic for you, because these expressions will sound normal. So that's my advice for today. Thanks for listening. But let's have a look now at some very common situations where we always use in, on, or at in English. Talking about position, then when we have an enclosed space, a space with walls, edges, with borders, like a box, we use the preposition in. Examples: I'm sitting in my car. The toy is in the box. My clothes are in the wardrobe. Question: is there any tea in that cup? In, because. Car, wardrobe, box, cup. They are all things with edges and borders. So remember, when we are talking about enclosed spaces, we use in. More examples: my phone is in my pocket. I read it in the newspaper. Yes, in the newspaper. In the book. It's kind of enclosed space. It's enclosed, and if you open it, and there is where you read it. Now, we can also use in when we are talking about something that is enclosed by liquid. Do you want any milk in your tea? Milk in your tea. It's enclosed within the tea. Do you prefer swimming in the sea or in a swimming pool? Now, be careful here, because in the sea is not the same as on the sea. Both are possible, but if you are on the sea, then you are in a boat. If you are in the sea, then you are swimming. So, this is a good example to explain when we use on. The boat is on the sea. We use on when we're talking about flat surfaces. Flat surfaces. And the position of the thing we are about is on that surface. So, the lamp is on the shelf. My camera is on a tripod. A photo is on the wall. Hey, look at that bird on the roof. My bag is on the floor. The man is sitting on the bench. Can I have some extra pepperoni on my pizza? Okay, you just think flat surfaces, use on. So when do we use at talking about position? Well, at the beginning, at the end. I read it at the beginning of the book. At the end of our holidays, we were sad to go home. Okay, so at the beginning, at the end, but in the middle, because the middle is enclosed by the beginning and the end. Now, we can say in the end. That expression exists, but it means the same as eventually or finally. For instance, I was waiting for the bus for 1 hour, and in the end, I got a taxi. So, when we were talking about position, I talked about borders and edges. Now this is true even if you can't see them. The borders, like a city has borders, but can't see them. Even some countries don't even have physical borders that you can see unless you are looking at the map. So, because countries and cities are enclosed, we use in. I was born in England. I live in Spain. I record these videos in my office. My office is in my house. A very common mistake is things like this. I am going in England. Have you ever been in America? I went in France. All of these sentences are wrongly bad. Now, although I said that countries take the preposition in, when we use the verb go, we always use to. Go to. Go to a place. Go to a country. I am going to England. I went to France. Okay, talking about location, we use on when we are talking about street. I used to live on Thorned Road, street, avenue, park. But if it's a specific address, then we use at. I used to live at 5 Thorned Road, street, avenue, park. And you can use this rule of using at for a specific place in general. I am at home. My wife is at school. I saw you at the party. We eat at the table. So when it's a specific place, we use at. But be careful, it's at the table because I'm talking about a specific place. It's not on the table. But on the table does exist because when we're talking about flat surfaces, then we can use on the table. You put your plate on the table. You put your drink on the table. But you sit at the table. So with on the table and at the table, you'll see that sometimes more than one preposition is possible. And another commonly confused one, because both are possible. I am at the beach or I am on the beach. Well, if you say I am at the beach, then you're talking about the specific location. Basically, you could be on the sand, in the sea, in a cafe, but we don't know the location. Is that beach place? But if you say I'm on the beach, then we are specifically talking about the flat surface, the sand, and you are definitely on the sand if you say I am on the beach. Okay, time, it's quite easy. I met my wife in 2004. I was born in March. I love going on holiday in summer. So months, years, and seasons we use in, and also periods of the day. So in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, with exception of course of night. It's at night. Now we use on when we're talking about a specific day, like Monday, Tuesday. I'll see you on Wednesday. but also days like my birthday, Independence Day. We're having a party on the 5th August. Specific days and dates we use on. So just be careful there. It's in April, but on the 2nd April. At. Well, we use at for periods of the year. A common one is Christmas. At Christmas refers to period of Christmas. On Christmas Day, because it's a specific day. But at Christmas refers to that 2-week period around Christmas. We also use at when we're talking about the time. I woke up at 7 o'clock. We eat at noon. I go to bed at midnight. So we've talked about the enclosed space before. So I'm driving in my car. For a bike, you are on a flat surface, the seat. So you are on the bike. But for a public transport, we use on. So I'm on a bus, on a boat, on a train, on a plane. And that's all I've got to say about transport. Anything related to the internet, you can use the preposition on. You're always on your phone. I put it on Twitter. I saw it on Facebook. Are you on Instagram? As you know, there are hundreds and thousands of expressions in English, and a lot don't fall into the categories that I've mentioned today. So it's always a really good idea to learn English in chunks, groups of words, and that way you will be able to speak without making mistakes of prepositions and without having to translate and construct sentences word by word. So this technique of learning in chunks will help you speak more fluently and more accurately. Here are some expressions that don't really fall into the categories I've mentioned today. In time, on time, in the end, in conclusion, they are in love. Love at first sight. The house is on fire. You're in trouble. I'm in a good mood. So expressions like this, just learn them as a group of words. Start doing that now, and the future will be much more easier for you when you're using prepositions in English.